Governor.
Hello, Governor. Good afternoon. How are you?
It's good. All I keep thinking, especially since it's Tuesday, is this video that I saw on TikTok talking about like they wrote out how a British accent sounds, and it's like, it's Tuesday, isn't it?
I am in love with the accents here. I am. I love it. Every person that talks to me, I'm just like, can you marry me? Can you just keep talking? I just love it. Love it. Love it.
Like a
Love it.
lot of times it sounds so elegant, like especially when you listen to British actors, especially for period pieces. It's like, now I know there are different suburbs of London where it does not sound very pleasant.
No, no, no. But I mean, it's.
And there's
I
parts,
love.
there's parts of our country where the accent is like nails on the wall to me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say which parts of the country, but there are definitely parts of the country when I hear them speak, it's just like my ears are bleeding. My ears are bleeding.
Even the way that people call things, like there's parts of the country that like say pop instead of
Oh,
soda.
oh, we call everything in the South is Coke.
Exactly.
Everything's Coke. I mean, I really think that's probably because of Atlanta, Coca Cola. Just Atlanta's the capital of the South.
But there's parts of like, even I think it heads towards the Midwest, but like Buffalo and past that call it pop. Like you'll look
Oh,
at
I've heard that. Hmm.
and I don't know why, but pop just triggers me.
Triggers you.
It really does. All right, we're getting these downloaded. We're a little behind today because my file didn't save.
You
But
are fine.
are on the YouTube channel today. This is our first stream that's posting. Josh is on there. Hi, Josh. How are you?
That's exciting. That
And,
is
and,
exciting.
and there's lots of great things coming to this YouTube channel after this trip. I know that I have a few Hawaii things that need to go in there as well. You're going to have a bunch of cruise things going in there.
I
I'm
will.
excited. And it's excited to have a database, because I think the worst thing is like scrolling through Facebook trying to find that tip.
I agree. I agree.
I think it's going to be crazy, but oh my goodness.
All right.
Please.
Well, it is top of the hour. Let's go. Good morning for those of you in the States. Good afternoon for those of you in my time zone across the pond. It's Tuesday. It's Stay and Travel. I am Jason Poole with Cruise Planners. I'm an American Express travel representative, and I just love talking all things travel. And this is basically, you just get to see what my co-host and I talk about off the channel. We thought we'd just record it for 30 minutes once a week. That's all we talk about is travel. Haley, how are you this morning? Introduce yourself. How are you doing?
I'm great this morning. Hi, everybody. My name's Haley. I am the owner of Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. Been in hotels for 15 years. I have a travel blog as well, and this is exactly what Jason and I do every day. Jeff even makes the comment, the things that you talk about, and I was like, what else is worth talking about?
And what else is worth talking about? I had a friend at home the other day say I only hyper focus on two things: musicals and travel. And I said that's not too far from the truth.
If
Well,
if it's wrong, I don't want to be right.
you're right, right. No, it's very true. Well, guys, just because Haley's been traveling to Hawaii, just because I'm in London, doesn't it means the show continues. And we have some great topics to discuss. Before we get into it, Haley, it was great running into you at JFK, just
Yeah.
very briefly. And that was fun.
We didn't realize this, you guys, until like the night
Mm-mm.
before.
No, no. Someone texted me. It's like, "Oh my God, did you plan this?" And we were like, "No, it was just pure coincidence." So we have some exciting things. I'm ready to dig in if you are, Haley.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Well, Virgin Voyages has announced the name of its new ship. It will be called the Brilliant Lady. I really like that name. I think I mean, it's bloody brilliant. I think it's great. They haven't said what they're doing as far as itineraries yet, but I've been really impressed with Virgin's itineraries. They're not doing just standard Mediterranean itineraries. They're not doing just like, oh, it's a new ship, 7 night Caribbean. Like they're really doing some fun overnights in Mykonos, overnight in Ibiza. Like they're doing some fun things, and I'm really excited to see what they're doing
I'm
with
just
Brilliant Lady.
so excited to get more Virgin ships because I'm at the point where I'm looking for dates for different things. Like, for
Hmm.
example, like I'm meeting with my VP in 2 weeks, and I could not find a Virgin sailing that lined up with the dates that I
Right.
did. So them adding to their fleet means more opportunities and options. So I'm here for it.
No, I look. I think Virgin is. I mean, they're committed, and I mean, I'm a fan. I like the brand. I've only done one of their sailings, and I cannot wait. I've actually been eyeing some either in the spring or fall just to slide one in real fast. But I just really, really loved what Virgin was doing.
I was toying with like hopping over to do one of the new Valiant Ladies sailings, and I'm like,
Mm,
Haley, you cannot do that again where you come home from Hawaii and then a couple days later go 6 hours in the other direction. My body will hate me. That's
yes. So, well, as soon as we know more information, we will definitely make sure to bring it up. So, we've been told by people that we're a little too Delta centric on here. Don't worry, Delta News is coming up. So, in an effort to be fair, balanced, and
balanced and unafraid.
unafraid, United Airlines, for those of our friends who are over in the Star Alliance world, they're adding new flights between Chicago and two European cities as they're really trying to beef up their offerings for Europe. So they're just really trying to double down. And look, this is a trend we've seen. We've seen this, with Delta. We've seen it with American. They're really trying to just double down on the new cities. So the ones that are getting the expanded service are Dublin and Frankfurt. And they recently announced going to like the Canary Islands and some other just, not tier 1 destinations, but like a tier 2 destination.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting for our friends who are United. Now, all right, enough of that. Oof, oof. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, I book United for clients all the time. So, all right. So this is kind of exciting news. So Delta has just announced it will start paying its flight attendants during boarding, and that's the first major airline in the country to do that. I did not know this wasn't a thing. Like I really thought they started getting paid when they're doing their job. Hi, welcome aboard. But they don't get paid. The clock starts when the door is locked, and the pay stops when they open the door. So Delta is facing some pressure from their flight attendants to unionize. They're the only airline that does not have a union, or major airline that doesn't have a union. So Delta, probably in an attempt to kind of thwart off unionization, is going to pay them during boarding.
Well, I think
So,
another thing to point out in that too, I think that's kind of that step is obviously to try to keep them from not unionizing.
mhm,
But out of the legacy carriers, Delta is also the most generous when it comes to annual bonus as well. Like
mhm.
they consistently give all their employees a very substantial bonus around dividend time.
Right,
No other airline
right.
does it.
Right, right. So I think that's interesting. It'll be curious to see if this does thwart the union vote, or if this isn't enough to stop them from unionizing. But good for you, Delta. I know I would hate sitting there knowing I'm not getting paid to like help people put the luggage up, and like I really had no idea this was a thing.
And dealing with the people complaining, be like, oh my God, somebody's sitting in my seat. Like, I feel for this.
Right, right. So this is a great topic about summer travel. So we know summer travel is right around the corner. And I keep hearing people talk about, oh, it's too expensive to go anywhere. We can't afford to drive to Disney with $6 gallon gas prices. Flight prices are going up. Like, we can't, we can't afford to go. So they're causing people to rethink summer vacation. Well, guys, I have some great ideas on how to save money on summer vacation. If you are flying, especially if you're flying across the pond, say you booked that Mediterranean cruise a year ago and you're just now looking at flights and they're outrageous. Well, if you're willing to connect in a European city sometimes, you can often save some big bucks. I just booked flights for a summer trip I'm doing, flying out of JFK to go across the pond, but coming home, I'm flying into Boston.
I've seen a lot of that Boston line opening up. And,
Uh-huh.
kind of tagging into this as well is looking at your credit card offers because, like, the American Express Platinum card, at least mine, has an offer for KLM and Air France.
Right.
Save like $200 or $300 off of $1,000 purchase.
Right. So another way to save some money is just because you're like, we'll stick with cruises for a second. So just because you're at RoyalCaribbean.com and Norwegian's website or a celebrity's website, and you see those prices and you go, God, that's really expensive. That doesn't mean that a travel agent isn't sitting on group rates that were held a year or 2 years ago. So sometimes these group rates, that were locked in a long time ago, can save you substantial money on these summer vacations. Because now with cruises being back and the ships filling up, the cruise lines are raising their rates.
Yeah. Supply and
They are.
demand.
Okay, so Miss Hotel Girl, hotel rates are seeing kind of a double whammy, right? The supply is up. I'm sorry, the demand is up, right? So the rates are going up. We also know inflation, everything is getting more expensive these days. What should someone do if they're wanting to do a domestic land based vacation and they see these hotel rates and they just think, God, that's a little too much to pay for a Holiday Inn. It's in Sarasota. Okay. Like, what would you tell a family?
So there's a couple ways to do this. So one way is, and this is going to be a future topic, speaking of Holiday Inn, IHG just changed the rewards program. I haven't gotten to the nitty-gritty of this yet, so I can't intelligently talk about it yet because they haven't released everything. On the ownership side, so I like to look at both. So one is to look at your points, like brands like Marriott and Hilton have, when you stay 5 nights on points, you get a 5th night free. I just did that myself in Hawaii. So looking at options like that, because Marriott, Hilton, all these companies are also running point promos where you can buy points and you get a 50% points bonus, even transferring credit card points. Like I think Amex is doing a 25% bonus on Marriott Bonvoy right now. The other piece that I would add into that is checking for promos and promotions on the website. So like if you're going down, they might have a beach stay, right? Or, like park and fly, like look at what the packages are. The other option is consider extending your trip. So for example, if somebody's going down for a week, but they're only staying 6 nights, try adding that 7th night, because some hotels will set up promotions for extended stay. The longer you stay, the bigger the discount is. So it will trigger an extended stay discount. So,
I've I've seen this.
yeah. So, I mean, kind of play with that. Also, kind of like when you talk about in Google Flights, maybe shift your days a day or so. That can make
Right.
all the difference. Or, if you're doing a shorter trip, consider, doing Sunday, checking out Friday, because those weekends are going to be your most expensive days anyway.
That's true. That is true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Sunday
So
is traditionally the least expensive day for hotels. We call it a shoulder night.
right.
It's generally the least expensive. So those are my tips. And then, if you don't ask for a discount, you won't know. I mean, if you're going to see a college sports game, like there's a chance that hotel might have a university rate, AARP, AAA. There's also government friends and family, like military friends and family. There's those discounts too. You don't know unless you ask.
Right. No, great. But it's like you have said a million times, and I agree with you. If you want to save money, you have to put in the work.
Oh yeah, there's no like easy way to save travel money. And I mean, if you're looking at flights right now, go into Google Flights like Jason and I talk about, set up an alert. I have an alert right now for a flight for my dad to join us in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
I have it.
I mean, and look, and you have to do the work, right? Like I played around with every combination this summer. What if I leave from JFK? What if I leave from Boston? What if I leave from Atlanta? What if I leave from Atlanta and return to JFK? What if I leave from JFK and return? And I found the leave from JFK return to Boston, and I was like, oh my god, that was cheap. So I went ahead and booked my Delta One both ways across the pond, and I just booked cheap economy, Nashville to JFK, and then coming home Boston back to Nashville, easy.
And when you guys do that, I know that sounds scary. If you do it with the same airline, they can tag your tags.
Oh yeah, so I did it. So when I checked into the Nashville airport, I guess 26, I don't know, feels like days ago at this point. I told them, so she saw my luggage, and she was going to print off the JFK tag. That reservation was for a Nashville to New York flight, and that's it. And it's in 2 weeks, New York back to Nashville. And I said, hey, I actually have another flight that's going JFK to LHR. Can you print those tags? And she was like, oh, they're not linked. I was like, no, I booked them separately. I said, it saved me $1,000. And she chuckled and she goes, you're smart. And she goes, do you have that locator code or the confirmation? She pulled it up. She printed off the tags. And that way, when my long layover at JFK, I didn't have to go get my bags, right? And I got them in London. No problem.
Absolutely. So there's some ways to save money. Always check those credit card offers too, because even with me being in Hawaii, there was a Marriott take 50 off when you spend $250 and a Hilton take 50 off when you spend $250.
Right.
Even with the Marriott, even though it was free, I still had the resort fee and stuff like that. So it took the $50 off of
That's nice.
the resort fee.
I love resort fees.
And
love them.
This trip, I'm not a fan of them either. I work in hotels and I hate them. So
so let's talk about your trip, Haley. So guys, if you don't know, Haley just got back from a family vacation to Hawaii. That was the second time you've been. The first time was with me in spring 2019. We went to Hawaii.
3 years to the day, almost.
Almost 3 years to the day. So what'd you think?
I am fully solidified in the fact that I love the Big Island, and it's going to be very harsh, but I really can't stand that Honolulu, Waikiki side of Oahu. Like, I cannot stand it. Now, keep in mind, if I could have spent all my time on the Big Island, I probably would have, but as we all know, Hawaii is very expensive. And I had an employee rate open up at that resort. And it is a beautiful resort that Jason and I stayed at 3 years
ago. It's the Hilton, right?
It's beautiful. Like there's waterfalls and stuff throughout it. Like it's a beautiful property.
It's a beautiful, self-contained, on the beach. It's a beautiful property.
It is. It's gorgeous. But the Big Island just felt so much more like what you expect Hawaii to be like.
Authentic.
And there's like little pockets of touristy things. But I mean, I found we went all over the Big Island. We put 700 miles on our rental car. We did Black Sand Beach. We drove up to Volcanoes National Park, which, by the way, if you guys are planning trips around this time next year and national parks are big on your list, roughly around this time is National Parks Week and you get free entry. Like Volcanoes National Park is typically a $30 entry for a car, free. So if national parks are on your radar, a little tidbit there. We went to different snorkeling locations. I mean, we went to Waipo Valley. It was just stunning, amazing. The first part of my stay, I did that Marriott Points hack, the stay 5 nights. I was 40,000 points short, so I transferred them over from my Chase Sapphire card. All I had to pay was resort fee and parking. But it's one of those things where I had all these factors, so it made sense to me. But I think overall, if you are just wanting a beach and luxurious destination and you are on the east coast of this country, you can get a very similar experience in the Caribbean for a fraction of the price.
St. Lucia, right?
St. Lucia. You want that aesthetic? Go to St. Lucia. I mean, I will say the snorkeling on the Big Island, and I've got tons of videos coming, was some of the best I've ever done in my life.
That's where we did it, right?
Yes, I went to a few other spots, and we also, this is going to be coming to YouTube, we did a nighttime snorkel with manta rays, and that was a top 5 moment of my life kind of moment. Like, it was
amazing.
Insane, amazing, and crazy. Jeff kind of laughed at me the last day because we were there for 11 nights. I was missing potatoes because obviously being in Pacific, Asia is big. There's rice and everything. I'm like, I want a potato so bad. And I finally got potatoes with my breakfast. I was like, oh my God.
That's funny. That's funny.
So we passed yesterday, and you were heading towards my favorite continent on this earth thus far. And what was the London experience? So I connected in London 3 years ago. I didn't get the full London experience yet. It keeps getting foiled from me. What's it like flying into Heathrow? Because Heathrow is massive too.
Well, so first of all, typically JFK to Heathrow is typically like a 5 to 5.5 hour flight. It took us right at 7 hours.
Really? Weather?
So, but what's weird is that that's what was scheduled, right? Like on the schedule, that's what it was. So I don't know if they intentionally were slowing down, like they didn't need the plane until later. I don't know, but it was slower.
Yeah, I've done that flight, and it was like 5.5 hours.
Yeah, so it was every bit of 7. It was like 6 hours and 58 minutes. Like it was every bit of 7. But look, I was in Delta One. I could have done another 7 hours. I mean, it just wasn't. I could fly around the world. When you're up in Delta One. So Heathrow was, everything was fine. Passport control was interesting. That was the first time I've seen like that automated passport system to enter a country. I've seen it leaving, but so that was kind of cool. Scan the passport. It's like global entry, basically. You scan the passport, take the picture. You're in the country. So no stamp on my passport, unfortunately. But that's okay. But I had a car service waiting for me. I'm staying at the.
You did this finally.
I know. So I'm at the Hyatt Regency, the Churchill, which I really like this hotel. It is it's a boutique hotel called the Churchill that just happens to be a Hyatt.
And guys, remember, quick entry here. If you're on Facebook, put your name after your comment because we can't see your name. I know we've got a lot of comments in here from Facebook, so make sure you do that. And Jason's going to be putting a room tour of this hotel for a lot of you that have cruises going out of Southampton or are thinking about visiting London, so that's going to be going on
Yeah,
my channel.
I would fully recommend this. It's about, it's a 2 miles from all the touristy stuff. Buckingham Palace. I walked down the Hyde Park earlier. Trafalgar Square is about 2 miles. I'm gonna head there in a little bit. The West End is about a mile and a half. Like everything, it's a really really good location. There's lots of cute little coffee shops everywhere. So I'm really excited. And then
He used Black Lane.
I used Black Lane, Christy. They picked me up, and then tomorrow I already have a ride scheduled for 10 a.m. Pick me up and go to Southampton. That's about a 2-hour drive. So I don't want to deal with like the like trains and lugging all my luggage. I just want to sit in the car and just like veg out, read, text Haley, "Are you up yet? Are you up yet? Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!" So yeah, I'm excited. So I'm unfortunately not able to see as much London as I wanted to, but I have to remind myself this trip wasn't about London. So I just getting a little bit of London is just icing on the cake.
I love it. And I actually have to pop into that talking about, nice car service and whatnot. So I didn't get to mention this and I should have. So I had an interesting scenario with my flight yesterday. And I texted Jason. I was like, oh my God. So I had a connection in Seattle and I had a 35-minute layover. And normally speaking, I find a lot of the SeaTac flights, Delta is usually pretty concise where they are in terminal wise. It's kind of like a mini-ish hub, but alas, I digress. Well, as we were landing, I looked at my phone. Our connection flight was in a whole different terminal. And that 35-minute layover was to flight time, not board time, like the 15-minute window where they close before the flight time and close the
So
door.
they're already boarding when you're on your other plane.
Yeah, on the tarmac. We get off the plane. And I'm in a fog because it was a red eye. And I started walking up the thing. Jeff was behind me because he was in the other aisle in Delta One with Olivia. He's like, Haley, there's some dude with your name on a sign back there, like where the wheelchairs are on the ramp. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't ask for a wheelchair. So I asked the agent, and they're like, oh, yeah, Miss Whiting, we have so-and-so down here with the Porsche that's going to escort you to your next flight. So we were back on the jetty, walked down the stairs, had the Delta Porsche with our luggage drive us over to B7, our new plane, and we walked up the jetty with all these people coming down the jetty. Like, we didn't even have to go check in and scan. The guy took the boarding passes, went scan them. He's like, enjoy your
That's unbelievable.
Loyalty scan pays everybody. It pays off. It was amazing.
I've always heard these stories, but I've never also had such a short. Well, I did one time, but that's a hell of a story. That's a good.
I think like Jeff died a little bit, and Olivia's like, "Oh, we need this more often." I'm like, "This kid's like spoiled for life when it comes
spoiled, spoiled." Right. No, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. All right, so Haley, you and I both just flew with the mask now being optional.
Yeah.
What did you? How did you feel flying with lots of people, including the flight attendants, not wearing face coverings?
I mean, I won't lie. I was low key expecting to walk into the airport and hear that chick from the Hunger Games be like, "Welcome, welcome, happy Hunger Games."
But I prefer the choose your own adventure story, right?
But it was kind of liberating. Like, I always have a mask in my pocket for really tight situations.
Mm-hmm.
But vaxxed.
I always have one next to me. Always.
I've had it. It felt normal, and I think there was like a welcoming piece to that. Now, if I was sitting in economy, I possibly would have opted to mask a bit more on a long haul, but it was nice to see people's faces. Like it was a sense of normalcy. It felt great, to be
No,
honest.
I loved it. Yeah, and I'll be honest. I am not an anti-masker. I don't mind wearing a mask. I always thought it was a little ridiculous. You have to wear a mask, except for your eating or drinking. So I mean, your food service, your drink service could be hours on a long flight. Hours,
Yeah.
right? So,
I'd be like, I'm always like, oh, I took a bite of something. Like,
right,
and
right.
I
So
will say long haul too, wearing a mask long haul is a lot. Even in Delta One, like I kind of get to this point if I've been on a flight for a while, I don't think this happens to you, but after I've been on a flight and then I'm hauling my butt to my next gate, I just kind of feel like a little nauseous after I've worn it for like 10 hours. I'm just kind of like,
right.
oh, like, so it felt nice. It felt normal. I don't mind wearing if I need to. And I do keep it on like if I'm in a very tight, closed in situation. But thankfully, being Delta One, first class on all those flights. And one thing I will also add to is now that food service has remained, resurfaced on the China, getting pre departure beverages and stuff. Um, Delta has upped their food game. They have more regional choices. Like Jeff got a charcuterie board with Beecher's cheese out of Seattle when we flew.
I got a little charcuterie board on my Delta One. Like, thanks.
But
So,
it's
can we also talk
it
about?
had like Beecher's cheese like in Pike Place.
No, that's nice.
Like it's
That is
all
nice.
very all the dishes were very regional. Like Olivia even had like pancakes with like a passion fruit puree. Like it was this whole I was very
M-
impressed with Delta's food. Like
m-
my flight from Atlanta to Honolulu was the best meal I've had in the air.
So my flight last night, that braised short rib, which I've had many times. I don't know what they did this time. It was the, I mean, Haley, it was restaurant at home
Yes,
good.
it was that freaking good. Even
It was
like
good.
I forget, I had this like pasta meal going to Hawaii, but even like my breakfast yesterday, I had this like spinach, mushroom, feta quiche, and then there was like a cheese plate on the side. Like it was restaurant quality food.
Good.
Like it
Yeah.
was so good.
Well, I am glad we both had it. All right. So,
Last
last
last piece.
topic. So, people are always asking me, what should you keep track of for your insurance claims? And that's a great question, right? Like, I've had people come back from a vacation and they say, "Oh, I had to go to the infirmary on board. Is that covered? Like, yes. Do you ever in a receipt, a paperwork? Like, no. I don't have any paperwork for it. It's like, ugh, So the main thing to keep
Everything.
is everything, right? So, do you remember last year when I had that major debacle of not getting to Greece? I kept missing all the flights. I took screenshots of everything. I literally took pictures of the gate that showed like flights delayed, screenshots of everything, screenshots of emails, and I had the mentality of doing an insurance claim, the same mentality I had during college writing essays, right? My goal in college when I wrote essays was to wear down the teacher. Just write and write and write and write and write. Same thing with the insurance claim, right? Just give them an abundance of proof, and that will make things easier. We
Oh,
all have cameras on
I
us.
I had a friend that happened to that we talked about a couple weeks ago with Disney. I told her, I'm like, take a picture of the gate sign that says that it's canceled, screenshot that email where JetBlue says that they can't get you out for a couple
Mhm.
days, like all the things. Like,
All the things.
remember also, there's insurance covers theft to degrees.
Right.
So police reports, what was stolen. And we've talked about this, like, I think like a year ago. I take a picture of everything I have tech wise. in my suitcase.
It was a tip you told. I always forget to take a picture of my suitcase as I'm packing. I just thought about that. You always want me to do it, and I always forget.
You should, especially with all the nice like shoes and stuff that you have
Right.
shoes.
I do. No, I do. I mean, yeah. If I lost my luggage, I'd be distraught. So, all right. Well, Miss Haley, it is 4:30 in London. I have got to go. I'm headed to the West End this evening to see a show. I guess stand by to see which show I will be seeing. I think it will surprise a lot of you.
Shocking.
All right. Well, Haley, thank you so much for doing this. I know you're tired from Hawaii. Thank you for letting me do this from my hotel room. And guys, stay tuned. Haley will be posting so much stuff about Hawaii still to come. I'm going to be blowing you guys up. It's showing you as much London as I can tonight, tomorrow, Southampton, and the Celebrity Beyond.
And you guys, please make sure you share the YouTube channel, because I think it's once we hit 100 subscribers in there, we can actually create the YouTube / Today in Travel channel, so it's not that massive long YouTube link.
Right.
All of these tools, these tips going forward are going to be housed here, so you're not having to search the Facebook group. So please share the YouTube channel. Please invite your friends to the Facebook group. We'd like to hit 1,000 members this year. And if you guys have any questions, drop it in the group.
All right. Off to the West End I go.
Bye.
Bye.